We can't hear it at all, Magdi.
Good. So simply welcome your experience as it is. So there may be some thoughts appearing, some sounds, at least here, sensations, the memories, images. They appear within you, you meaning you, this aware presence. And the movement that you perceive is the movement that belongs to that which appears. Because you don't move. You are not defined, you're not subject to whatever appears to you. So welcome the peace of being, which is already perfect and complete of its own, not trying to improve itself. Allow things to be as they are. Whatever images appear to you, they are really insignificant. You as awareness, as presence, you permeate your experience, meaning everything that appears to you is made out of awareness. It is not made out of some other reality, some other substance. Within awareness, there is ample room. There is ample room for awareness. There is no room for anything else because there is nothing else. There is no possibility of something else within awareness, because awareness is all-inclusive, meaning it is the one reality, the reality of everything that you experience, the reality of your own mind, the reality of the body, the reality of the world. This imaginary separation that you experienced, which refers to you as a person, a man, a woman, or something other, is a false reference. Because only reality can refer to itself. Only that which is complete, which is whole and complete, can refer to its wholeness and completeness. Within totality, within wholeness, there are no parts. There are no separate selves within the self, within consciousness. There are no separate consciousnesses. If you look at your experience right now, this moment, you do not find any borders. There isn't this side and the other side. Maybe a thought appears to you that says the other side or over there. But this thought has no meaning. It's just a sound wave. Which has no meaning, but the meaning you choose to give it out of your freedom and your sense of play. But the power resides in you. After all, you are the one that gives the meaning to the thought. The thought derives its meaning from you. You choose to provide meaning to a sound wave. But whenever you give the sound wave power, meaning when you agree that the thought knows you and that you are defined by what this sound wave, how it appears, then you have entered into ignorance. Then when you enter into ignorance, then thought and the I thought, the me thought and the me feeling become your master. It feels so real, it seems so real. But it is surreal, it is not real. The reality is the reality of presence, of consciousness. Thought, sound wave, a feeling, meaning an energetic sensation, has no reality outside of the reality of consciousness. It is real as consciousness, which never leaves itself or separates itself or forgets itself. So the journey is a journey of recognition, the recognition of the transparency of being, which is neither masculine nor feminine. Which you know yourself to be. But somehow you choose to know yourself as a body-mind form. But the recognition of your true nature is there available to you in this moment of recognition of your transparency, your infinity, your reality as this infinite presence, the infinite invisible. And in recognizing yourself, you recognize consciousness, you recognize everyone and everything in this recognition. And in this recognition, there are no objects. There's just consciousness, the peace of being, the love, the beauty, the God's kingdom, God's reality, God's qualities of peace and causeless happiness. And as your true nature, there is nothing lacking, there is nothing that you are seeking. You only seek when you reduce yourself to some object that is lacking, that is missing, that is incomplete, which is a falsehood. You don't need to remember yourself in order to be. You don't need to remember yourself in order to recognize yourself. In fact, it is in the absence of memory that you recognize yourself. In the absence of past and future. which are but sound waves. The past and the future are sound waves. Mind impressions to which you attribute reality, you attribute power to the sound waves. The peace that you seek is already there, is what you are, what you truly are. But there is no peace in what you imagine yourself to be. Even if you imagine yourself to be the greatest person in the universe, there is no peace available to you there. Even if you imagine yourself to be the greatest parent, the most successful family, the greatest family with the greatest success, there is no peace in that illusion. Somehow our business is very clear to awaken from the illusion of separation, to come to truth, to water the garden. That is God's mission through us, God's message via us, to the entire realm of manifestation. That there is a truth, and that the truth is God's truth. You don't need to go back to the past to fix it. It's completely gone. Absolutely. Whenever you go to the past, you're going to a falsehood, a falsity, a falseness. There's only one power, one reality. And it does not belong to that which is created. It belongs to the Creator. Okay, so if you have any questions, anything that you would like to explore, please make sure you unmute your mic, and you're welcome to turn on your video. So any questions?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Amna.
So today and yesterday there has been like the experience of agitation. And so is it to see it as a neutral event and to just allow it to be there?
Well, if possible, when you are experiencing agitation, yes, to see that the experience of agitation is neutral in that it is a bodily sensation. There is an aspect to your experience which is a bodily sensation. And all bodily sensations are neutral, yes?
Yeah.
So there is that possibility to see that this agitation, one aspect of it is that there is a bodily sensation, and the other aspect of it is some inner resistance, a psychological resistance, maybe a defense, or blaming somebody, or blaming myself. Or there is an aspect to the agitation which is mental, which is sort of, why did she do this to me? How dare they treat me this way? Which is the I thought, yes?
Yeah.
And the,
Like,
I thought, like all thoughts, is neutral. So yes, it is possible, not always, but especially with a small agitation, meaning the small annoyance. You can practice with a small annoyance to see that this small annoyance is just a bodily sensation and a thought about, oh, why did they do this? And that there isn't much more to it. So you really don't need to go down that rabbit hole. You don't need to, because in a way, the bodily sensation, the neutral bodily sensation, and the thought, which is neutral, are similar to the sun shining on the surface of the pond, which is also a neutral event. In a way, it's it's as neutral as the sensation of your feet on the ground. But the impression that we have is that the thought that says, why did they do this to me, creates the impression that there is something at stake, that I need to do something to get myself out of trouble. I need to defend myself. I need to justify myself. I need to correct the others. And the reason why I feel driven to defend or to argue is because I feel that it's important. It's important for my own feeling state.
I wanna tell you like the thoughts, because it's like my body's feeling agitated, and it's like I'm doing something or I'm eating something that's agitating me, and I need to figure it out because I don't want to experience this.
Okay.
It's more about
sorry to interrupt. You said your body is feeling agitated?
Yeah.
The body doesn't feel. A body doesn't feel. You feel.
So I feel agitation in the body.
You're perceiving a sensation which you don't like. You're perceiving so that's an agitation. The body isn't feeling anything. You are perceiving a sensation that you don't like. I just wanted to make that little comment, okay? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's an important point.
Is it, and I want more clarification, is it I'm perceiving sensation in the body or just the sensation?
Okay, right now, turn your attention to the sensation of your feet on the ground. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Are you perceiving the sensation?
Yeah.
In the body?
I think the answer is no. Could you ask the question in a different way?
Where does this sensation arise?
In awareness?
In your experience right now. In awareness.
Yeah.
In awareness. So the question was, is it your experience that the sensation is arising in your body? What is your answer to that question when you ask yourself?
No.
Where is that sensation arising?
It's arising in awareness.
Yeah, that's my experience. It's arising in I meaning in awareness. So the question, the answer to your question about does the I forgot the word you used. Does the emotion arise in the body? You have to look at your experience, not at the story, not at the narrative. You have to look at your experience because your experience is there. It's available to you.
Okay. But this, like, for example, the sensations in my feet. I don't experience them like I experience them in that area. I don't experience them like 2 foot away.
Right. You don't experience the sensation of your feet 2 feet away, right?
Yeah.
So when we say the sensation of your feet on the ground, it's just a way of speaking. It's just a, sensation. When you look at the sensation of your feet on the ground, you don't experience the sensation of your feet on the ground 2 feet away. Like when you look at the experience of your face, the sensation of your face, you don't experience the sensation of your face at 1 centimeter away. Turn your attention to the sensation of your face. Where in your experience is this sensation arising?
It's arising in me.
Yes, it's arising in you, your awareness, your presence. It's not arising inside something called you, like inside. It's arising in and as awareness. So our experience is 24/7 is awareness, is the experience of awareness. There is no other experience. There is no other reality. It's all awareness. But you have to take a look. You have to take a look to see if it's not a belief. You have to. What was it that as apostle wanted to put his finger in the wound, Jesus, the wound of Jesus? You have to test it. Make sure that he was face to face with Jesus, or he was not hallucinating. So when you're experiencing some annoyance, the annoyance that you're experiencing is made out of, first, it's all awareness. So there is something that's arising as a sensation. And there is a thought that's arising. Darn them, why did they do this to me? They shouldn't treat me this way. And we call that annoyance, meaning the thought in combination with the bodily sensation. When we say annoyance, I, then there is an impression that it's I, because the thought is saying, why did they do that to me? Me meaning me, this person, this good person, and they're the bad people. I'm the good one. Don't they get it? So it's me, I'm me, you see. So the annoyance is just a me, you know. No, mommy, I want it now. I want it now. I'm annoyed. I want it now. I want the candy now. So mommy goes, holy God, I gotta give him candy, you know, or no, you're not gonna get your candy now. So I'm gonna throw a bigger tantrum, you see.
I see that.
So the me, you know, this, you carry it along. You say, oh, hello, Magdi. Yesterday, I was experiencing an annoyance. This I that you're referring to is what you imagine yourself to be. Because the I that you're referring to is not that which you are. Because you cannot refer to I, because you are the I. The only way you can refer to I is by recognizing I am. So when you're referring to the I that was annoyed yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, there is a falsehood that you're not seeing through it, so it maintains itself. It tells you, okay, you know, you're getting better, or you're getting worse. But in reality, there is no better and worse. There is just God's light, God's being. So when there is an annoyance, it's important to see that at that moment you are referring to yourself as this person within the bubble, the defined me bubble, whichever way you've defined yourself. I don't know. We're constantly in this self-definition business. Whichever way you're defining yourself, you see. And at the moment that you refer to yourself as somebody in time and space, you are living in a way of speaking. You're living your true nature. You're living the peace of being, and now you're hoping to get peace and happiness for an imaginary character. You follow?
Yeah, I follow. The imaginary character is annoyed that it's not seeing that it's an imaginary character.
No, the imaginary character doesn't exist. There is no real annoyance. It's a storyline, a narrative that you somehow are attached to it. But you don't need to be attached to it.
I awareness, right?
Absolutely, there's only one I. I'm never talking to Santa Claus. I love Santa Claus. I have no issue with Santa Claus, but I'm never addressing Santa Claus. I did my old days. I am not talking to you as some image, or that I don't perceive you as an image. Hello, Frank. I see that you wrote a question here. Say, hi, Magdi. Can you talk about taking things personally and wanting to take revenge on people from the perspective of these teachings? Yes, Frank. From the perspective of these teachings, in the non-duality teaching, Advaita, we recognize that there is no personal doer, no personal chooser, no personal actor. In fact, we don't choose our thoughts. We need to take a look at that, not just sort of to say, oh yeah, I heard we don't choose our thoughts, therefore we don't choose. You have to see it, you have to see that in fact you don't choose your thoughts. You perceive your thoughts, and you reflect upon your thoughts, but you don't choose them. Even when you're looking at 10 different choices, should I have pasta today? Should I have a pizza? Should I have a salad? Or should I have, a grilled cheese sandwich? You're looking at these and you're perceiving these thoughts, and somehow there is a thought that chooses. There is, I'm going to go for the grilled cheese sandwich. Even that, the choosing thought is a thought that appears to you. So there is no person who is guilty, who is choosing. I'm going to choose to do you harm. I'm going to think about how can I cause Frank How can I make harm to Frank? How can I make Frank a lesser valuable person, a more hurting person? We don't choose this thought. The thought may arise, oh, how can I get back at him? It may arise. It arises to us. And so we look at this and say, no, damn, I'm not going to do this. Or we say, yeah, I'm going to deflate his tire. I'm going to go to his car. I'm going to deflate his tire. And so I find myself deflating your tire. But the main thing to comprehend is that there isn't a personal choose or a personal doer. So therefore, to take revenge in a way is you're not taking revenge on the person, you're taking revenge on the wrong person. When we take revenge on somebody else, we're taking revenge on God. We're not accepting God, we're not recognizing God, we're not recognizing the bigger reality, see. Now, when we realize that that it's not about me, that there isn't, that this life is not about me, my health, my money, my family, my tribe, my community, my religion, my power. When we realize that all of that is just mental stuff, is we have an image about ourselves as being this person, that in fact, what I truly am is this awareness, is mysterious, and it's I know I am. Not I know I am Magdi, I am a great guy. Well, these are stories. I have no problem with the body being called Magdi, but Magdi, the body, appears to me. The sensations appear to me meaning appear to consciousness. An image doesn't appear to the body doesn't appear to itself, it appears to consciousness. So I, being consciousness, I perceive. So once we come to the understanding that I refers to consciousness, to awareness, we realize, it takes a little reflection, that it's not that I is awareness and you are not awareness. I'm a better awareness than you are. My awareness is better than your awareness. No, we realize that it's the same awareness. The awareness doesn't change from the morning, from 10 o'clock to noon. It's not like a different awareness. Or if I'm hungry, the awareness of hunger is a different awareness from the awareness after I had the meal. No, the body, meaning what's appearing, is different. Before lunch, what appeared was hunger, sensations in the body called hunger. After dinner or after lunch, the sensation arising in the body are sensations of being full or whatever, satisfied or whatever. The sensation that's appearing is different, but the awareness is not different. See, once we realize that, yes, we are all this one awareness, that our reality is this one awareness, then to say you're guilty, you are good, and you are bad, doesn't make sense. You see, it doesn't make sense. So this does not mean, Frank, that if there are people who are acting, in hurtful ways, that we don't do something about it. We say, hey, look, what are you doing? And if they don't comprehend, we take the steps that we need to take to bring them to reason if possible, bring them to understanding. But it may not happen. They may just be stuck into, we are the Aryan race and you are the whatever, and this is how it is. And we can't get to them. We can't get to them. And you're right. We may have to defend, we may have to stop their behavior in one way or the other, you see. But this is different from revenge, you see. Revenge means like, they hurt me, how these bad people hurt me, and I'm going to get back at them. So in these teachings, there isn't room for revenge, but there is room for understanding. And when we understand, it shifts our way of perceiving, our way of living, our way of acting. You also write, Frank, and you talk about dementia. My mom is experiencing this and is depressed about it. Dementia and other ailments, body-mind ailments, ailments to the functioning of the brain, the, neuronic communication in the brain, the membrane that envelops the brain, the blood flow through the brain and the body, all these sort of events, in the body refer to the body. They refer to the body. They don't refer to I consciousness. But most of us are identified with the body. So when something happened to the body, we feel that it's happening to me. And so we get depressed, we get anxious, we get fearful, we get contracted. It's inevitable, Frank, the experience of being depressed about the body and about other things. We identify with our family, with our children. We get depressed when our children don't succeed, or we get depressed when our bank account is whatever. We identify in so many ways, but it's always external. It's inevitable to, I think with your mom, you can just be present with her, present as just a loving presence, sort of. When you are in presence with somebody who is not sharing your depression or your anxiety or your view, it does affect you, even if you don't, it's not so visible. It's a good place to be with somebody who's at peace, especially when you are feeling a lot of emotions. When you're with somebody at peace, it's a good thing. So you can be with her that way as best you can.
Yeah, thanks, Magdi. I asked you that because, I used to study Christian Science. And so I find it really, at this point, I find it really tough to believe that we can lose our memory when, it's all mind, right? We don't have a material body per se. Yeah. It's just an image, right? So when I'm around her, I notice that she's less forgetful when I'm around. But now she's at my sister's house. And now when I call her, she's forgetting everything. Yes, because my sister is very much a believer in dementia and all this other stuff. So yes, so I don't know if there's anything I can do, or just maybe not. I can't fight it. I can't tell my sister, hey, don't stop believing that, because she doesn't know anything about Christian Science or anything like that. Yeah. So it's just very painful for me to watch how she changes when she's with my sister, because my sister has that belief, and like I said, she changes when she's around me. She's not as forgetful. Yeah, it's really
you do what you can. What can you do? I mean, your sister is your sister. She's different from you. She has different views than you. What can you do? I mean, you can talk with her, but you can't. You have to allow her to be who she is. If she's available to listen, then she listens. But in terms of dementia, there is this idea that I become demented, that I am this person, and now I am getting demented. No, dementia is a physiological aspect of the brain or of the body. It's a physiological thing. It's a physiological event, and your capacity to remember and to recognize goes down, and so then you are not recognizing, you're not remembering. But this doesn't mean that you are suffering, you see. Mostly maybe the people around the person in dementia. Again, I have to say that I'm not talking from experience, so please take whatever I'm saying with a grain of salt. But my impression is that the people around dementia get really anxious about, oh my God, what's happening to you? Nothing is happening to your mom. Her brain cells are not storing memory anymore. And she looks at you, you say, hi, who are you? who are you? And you say, hello, I'm Frank. He says, oh, Frank, interesting, Frank. Okay, so it's more difficult for you because you want your mom to recognize
Right.
you, to love you, you see. But, love, as they say, never dies. Love is there. Even if I don't recognize you, the love is what we are, you see.
Yeah, my mom does not have Alzheimer's, but she does remember who I am and all that, but she just forgets. She'll ask me the same question over and over, 3 or 4 times and things like that. But she's the one that's suffering. She's suffering actually more than I am, because she's always, when I talk to her, she says, oh, I'm getting worse and worse with my memory and what's going to happen to me and all this other stuff. And I tell her, I said, Ma, you're going to be fine, because, I do talk about consciousness with her. And I said, we are consciousness, and you can't lose anything that's yours. You can't lose yourself.
Absolutely.
But but she's still suffering because of it. And I suffer because of it to a certain extent.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's nice that you can share with her that you cannot lose what you are, And even though she doesn't comprehend that, it's good to hear it. Even you never know how. And everything that appears disappears. Everything is in flux that appears and disappears. The only thing that is eternal is presence, consciousness, beingness, God's being, whatever way we speak of it. And, we recognize that, and we live with that recognition as best we can. And, when we live with that recognition, some of that rubs off on others in some way, And
Magdi, do you think this? I don't know what your beliefs are as far as what happens after we pass away. Is there anything like? I used to be into listening to people who talked about going beyond and talking to people who've already passed away. I'm beginning to think none of that is true anymore. But what's your take on that? Is there anything? Do you have any thoughts on that? Is there any recognition of people that have passed on when we pass on, or is that something that just goes away?
I understand your question. It's important to understand that reality, truth does not pass away. And that the content of our experience is constantly appearing and disappearing. And in a way, it's constantly passing away. And there is the model of the scientific model of the molecules and atoms and gluons, this whole movement and energies and fluxes and attractions and energy fields, and which is constantly in flux. So when you look at a particle, it looks like it is over here, but when you're not observing it, when you're observing it, it's not there. It's a wave. So when you take a look at the realm of experience from the scientific point of view, you cannot put your finger on it. You can't pin it down. Is it a particle? Is it a wave? Is it here or is it everywhere? So even when you look at from the scientific perspective, the question about what exists, it's hard to pin down that there is any particular thing that exists, although there are all sorts of observable. We observe the wave, we observe the particles, we observe electrons, and we observe gluons. We observe all of that, all of this. It's hard to pin any of it down. sort of model, the theories are still and we, when we look at our experience of ourself in our conditioned way of perceiving, we perceive ourselves as the body. We perceive ourselves as the body, and we experience that we are the body, and so the body mind, the body with this functioning, the thoughts, the perceptions, the sensations. And with identified as the body, there is the impression that I am the body. And so what's going to happen to me, when I die, after death, when the body dies, we don't realize that this model is a false model. In that, because there is another model which is more in line with our experience, which is that I is awareness, and that awareness isn't born. We don't experience, there's no experience of the beginning of awareness. Nobody has experienced the beginning of awareness. So we cannot say that awareness begins and therefore ends, because anything that begins, at some point it ends, because it was not before its beginning, so therefore there is an ending. So when we look at that model, which is more in line with our experience, that I refers to awareness, then the question of awareness dying doesn't apply. So the question, what happens to I after I die, doesn't make sense from that perspective. So your question is only relevant from the identification, from the point of view of identification, of being identified. So to answer your question, we have to look at, okay, well, is it true that we are the body? Is that identification a correct identification? If it's correct, then we have to address we have to address your question. But if the premise of your question, if there is a major falsehood in the premise of your question, then whatever answer we're going to give to your question is going to have that premise of falsehood carried along. So when we look at what is the reality or the truth that I am the body, we look at our experiences. If I am the body, then there should be proof right now that I am the body. So I look right now and I say, okay, what am I? I am I. What is I? I is awareness. Okay, what is the body? The body? Yeah, I know the body. The body is appearing to me. I have an experience of my body right now, of sensation of my feet on the ground, the sensation of my hand on my face, an image. I have an image, for example, a memory of my mom and I'm her son, etc. So I say, yes, I do experience the body. I don't want to deny that. It's my experience. My experience of the body, of quotes unquote, my body, is images, memories, sensations, even thoughts. I have some thoughts about myself. I think I'm a great guy, for example. I have a tendency to go in that direction. Not I'm a bad guy, Some people, but it's the same, really, it's all mirror image. Mm-hmm. But that's a thought, right? So I say, okay, fine. Now, then the next question is, am I these thoughts? Am I this bundle of thoughts, images, and sensations? And when I look at that, I say, okay, I don't want to say no. I don't want to say no. I'm going to say yes. I am these bundles of thoughts, images, and sensations. Okay, I say, well, what are they made of? What is their reality? What is their reality? The reality of the thought. I say, okay, what is the reality of the thought? Because we have to talk about reality. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about illusion. The reality of the thought. And look at the thought. What is its reality? I don't find is a separate reality that is called the thought reality. I find that the thought exists, but its reality is awareness. Because without awareness, the thought isn't there at all. What would be the awareness, a thought without awareness of the thought? It would mean nothing. But awareness exists without the thought. I'm aware of that I'm aware. So therefore, I have come to the understanding that the reality of the thought, meaning the reality of the body, and the thought being an image of the body, is awareness. So I'm back to the reality of the body is not that which appears and disappears. So I say, well, I cannot go forward with your question. I have difficulty going forward with your question without going into some storyline, you know. And who cares about storylines? They're done, it doesn't. I mean, you go, there are people who believe in reincarnation, this and that. I mean, there are books written about all this stuff. And for me, they're just a bunch of thoughts, you know, bunch of. Now, having said that, Frank, I realize one thing, that when I go to sleep, before I go to sleep, I have the sense that I am this body. When I go to sleep, in deep sleep, I am not the body. There is no body actually in deep sleep. But when I wake up, it seems that I go back to, I am the body. So I am Magdi before I go to sleep. When I go to sleep in deep sleep, there is no Magdi. I wake up, I resume, I am Magdi. So from that perspective, I tend to look at your question and say, yeah, it seems that I am Magdi continues in my experience. But I also know that in deep sleep there is no Magdi. So therefore, this experience that I am Magdi, or I am the body-mind, there is a discontinuity to it in deep sleep. Every day. Also, when I look a little closer at I am Magdi, I find that even throughout the day, there are moments where you have to really tap me on the shoulder, wake me up to go back to I am Magdi. And for example, there are moments where of joy, or moments of understanding, or moments where of happiness, where the I am Magdi isn't there. There is just I would say maybe there is just consciousness, but not I am Magdi. So even during the day, it's not I am Magdi, I am Magdi, I am Magdi, I am Magdi. This continues. There is a discontinuity. Maybe it's not even noticed. But when we turn our attention to it, we notice that yes, there is a discontinuity in I am Magdi. So in the waking state and in the dream and deep sleep state, there is the continuity of I am Magdi, and there is also this continuity where I am not Magdi, I am not the body mind. Now, the sages speak about the waking state being like deep sleep. Meaning that you are in the waking state, but there is no I am Frank. It's not that, you know, you experience some Alzheimer or anything like that, or no, it's, you know, the body is referred to as Frank. You know that the car is Frank's car. You know that the children are Frank's children. but you know that you are not frank, you are consciousness. And that, they refer to it in the Sufi, they refer to it as fana. Fana means the death of ignorance, the end of identification, the ending, the sahaja samadhi in Sanskrit. But coming back to your question, I'm sorry I went for on such a day. Coming back to your question, now I'm sort of extrapolating. Maybe I'm even going a little bit into La La Land. What if we consider that the death of the body, in the bigger scheme of things, the death of the body is like deep sleep. Before the death of the body, you are Frank, meaning you're a person. You're Frank, I'm Magdi, he's Jose, whatever. And the death happens, death of the body, and that deep sleep. And then there is, after deep sleep, you wake up. You wake up. My experience of waking up, I'm Magdi again, for example. Yeah. So you wake up, you are again Frank, but it's no longer Frank. It's a Frank too, or it's Joe, or it's Mary, or it's, in other words, the me, the sense of being somebody, being me, being a body mind is still on. They speak about the reincarnation this way. They say, okay, well, you're dead, but you're reborn as somebody else. In fact, you have never been somebody. You have never been somebody. It's just a model. Consciousness has never been a Frank, has never been Magdi. Consciousness is always consciousness. Irrespective of whichever way you imagine it to be, or whichever way you imagine yourself to be, it remains as it is, consciousness. The ocean, even if the biggest wave imagines that the ocean is me, this big, huge wave, the ocean is neither augmented nor diminished by either the small wave that's 4 inches tall, or the wave that is 20 foot tall. The ocean remains water. This is the key thing to comprehend, that this entire human experience is like a dream. And you could say, and I'm open to it, I have no arguments with that, you could say that it goes on and on, goes on and on. Body dies, body born, body dies, body dies, body bones, etc. It goes on and on, like a dream, until we wake up. Waking up does not occur in the future. Waking up occurs in the eternity of presence. Sometimes we use the word now. I don't use the word now too much, but I prefer the eternity of presence, the reality of presence, the reality of consciousness. We wake up as presence. And the illusion of time is seen through as soon as we understand that the reality of consciousness is not in time. Consciousness does not exist in time. That I have never existed in time. Time is an impression that appears to me, thoughts, images, memories. But I have never existed in time. And it's not possible for I, which is presence, to exist in time or in place or in a village, or everything that appears to I as I awareness, I presence.
So Maggie, so when we think about our loved ones and we think about them dying, passing away, or we dying and passing away, if we're questioning whether we're going to see them again, we're really looking at it from the point of view of the body mind, and not as
Yes.
consciousness. And as consciousness, so the question of whether we're going to see each other or not it's a moot question, right? Because
Yes.
we're always there anyways.
Absolutely. Consciousness never leaves itself. You see, right?
Is there any kind of even in consciousness itself, is there any kind of recognition that that person, that part of consciousness used to believe they were somebody, and this over here used to believe that I was somebody, or does that completely just go away? Any memory of individuality, or does that completely go away altogether?
Well, no, I mean, I still, for example, remember my mom. I remember my brother who passed away, and there is, the memory, the functioning of the brain is a mechanical function. It still goes on in this realm. Obviously, consciousness isn't interested in memory. So, but it plays the memory game via all our body minds. You have your memories, Nicola has her memories, Holly has memories, I have my memories. So consciousness isn't interested in memory, but it plays a memory game through the body minds. But this does not mean that consciousness is remembering.
So after the body mind experience of death, there really is no need for remembering or recognition or anything, because there's just not even an issue for consciousness, right?
Absolutely. Consciousness is need-free. What we need, it's one reality. There is no need in consciousness. There is no.
So that's the fear. That's the fear I have, is this fear of loss, that when I do pass away, or my mom passes away, it's the end of this whole thing, and there's just nothing left.
But don't forget, Frank, that all body minds are made out of the universal matter. In other words, it is just a like when you look at it in the ocean, as a whirlpool in the ocean, there are maybe 1,000 whirlpools in the ocean, but all the whirlpools, they're different, of course, not all whirlpools, but they're all made out of water. They're all basically water. So it's like saying, gee, my whirlpool was close to this whirlpool and that whirlpool. I'm wondering, if what's going to happen to this whirlpool? How will I remember them, or where did they go? They're just water. It's all water. Water, or it's all water. One consciousness. One. So no, that's a falsehood. That's again because we believe that that consciousness is this person. We believe that's this. This doesn't mean that we don't enjoy each other's company. We don't have sweet memories of my mother's, sweet memories, and some not so sweet memories of my brother. That's like how the wind blows. It's not significant.
Yeah, I get that. No, I'm getting a better understanding of that.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Maggie. Appreciate your talks. I love being here, by the way. I really enjoy coming to your satsangs.
Nice to be with you. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm going to turn my attention to a question that was sent to me because of the time. Dear Magdi, I have become more and more sensitive and actually intolerant of being in a relationship like I used to. I have a lot of judgment about people's behavior. I like people less and less. That's understandable. This doesn't mean there isn't love, but it's good you say you like them less and less, which is okay. I see dynamics which I don't want to participate in with family and friends. Absolutely, yes. It is as if I only want to be in satsang or be alone. Otherwise, I get triggered and need to clean up my inner space after I interact with people. I have tried to point things out to several people who are not acting fairly with me, but it did not go over well, and I cannot go along with this stuff anymore. So oddly, my inner awareness of expansion is not reflecting with expansion in my social life. So, it's understandable that that there are situations and interactions and relationships where there's too much disharmony. You may be in a relationship with people who don't have a certain respect, they disregard, for you, for your property, for your life, for your home, whatever. You may be in a relationship with people who are very competitive. They always want to have the final word and put you down, and that's not pleasant. And as under the influence of ignorance, we're all into this me bubble, and so I perceive you as, I can get something out of you. You improve my image, so you're good to go. But if I cannot get anything from you, and somehow your image or what my image is of you doesn't conform with my image, then I'm going to put you down. It's understandable not to have tolerance to that. And in fact, the more you realize your true nature, the less tolerant you are of living, in such situations. And in fact, your life will change. You will find yourself relating with a different kind of people, different situation, different environments, etc. So there will be changes in your life which will happen sort of in a organic way. Having said that, whenever you are being triggered, it is an opportunity for you to also contemplate what to live that situation as presence, as consciousness. So it's a sort of a homework, being given to you. It's not difficult situations that are being presented to you are not meant for you to go back into your cave, your Himalayan cave, or to go back into your solitude or get away from the world or from people. If you notice that, in fact, you're moving more and more, moving away from people and moving away from relationships, you need to take a look at that, because it could be that there is still a tendency to protect. You're protecting something. You're protecting. Whatever you're protecting is illusory. There is a difference between acting, in a certain way, taking a certain stand, and being in a protective mode. If you are protecting, you're protecting yourself from others. And the good question is, what is this self that you're protecting? Because as consciousness is not in the protection business. It's not trying to safeguard itself or have a better tomorrow or have a better life. That's not consciousness. consciousness is, and the freedom, the joy, the beauty, the love, the peace of being, the causeless happiness. Causeless happiness. Not happiness because you're having good relationships with good people. So, given that you are talking about situations where you're feeling that things aren't flowing in relationships, things aren't going over well, you need to ask yourself whether you are not retreating in some belief or some point of view about yourself, a point of view you have about others, how people, how they should be, how they should relate to you, how your life should be. You need to take a look at whether you are meeting these situations with the recognition of your true nature, that which is untouched, unmoved, or whether you are meeting the situation as somebody, as a me. It's important discrimination and important understanding within yourself to see that your awareness of expansion has to be reflected in your social life. The wide open sky has no argument with a tornado. It's not preferring, the wide open sky is not preferring a sunny day over a rainy day. Whatever is preferring a sunny day over a rainy day is not the wide open sky. Now, it makes sense for you not to go along, not to feel like you want to go along with ignorance and unhappiness if there are situations where you are constantly being met with greed and envy and jealousy and judgment. You don't need to continue. You can go in a different direction. In my case, now there are some members of my family that are difficult. Who doesn't have that situation, right? So in those cases, because you cannot really put a big time X on your family, in some situations you have to interact with them. So you minimize, I minimize these situations, and I don't get too much into those sort of trying to change them. I'm not interested in changing them. In situations where you have no choice, you do your best and you minimize the exposure. You say you only want to be in satsang or be alone. You can be in satsang in the world. Satsang is not just thinking about God, because God is everywhere and everything. So how you are in the world, in relationship, how are you listening? And are you still and silent? Sometimes it's good to be still and silent. It's difficult in situations where you feel like you're being judged, or you're not being loved, or you're not being appreciated. Can you just be available to that as well? Because that which is not being appreciated and not being loved is not your true nature. You are not the body mind that is out there to be loved and honored and respected. And so in the recognition of your inner reality, the reality of being, when you experience a certain unkind situation that you have not much choice about, you don't need to respond as somebody who is hurt or somebody who is not being appreciated. You can be like the wide open sky. Sometimes it rains. The wide open sky doesn't get wet. Actually, the rain is good for the fields, especially in Southern California. Okay. And sometimes you also have to go against your tendencies. Sometimes we have a tendency to sort of stand aside, be invisible. It's also a way of protecting one way of protecting the illusory me, to be invisible. You have to take a look at that. If that's a tendency, you've got to challenge this tendency by going the other direction, by taking a step out of the shadow, take a step forward. And most often we hide behind our beliefs. We hide behind our ideas about ourselves and about the world. We need to see that. And that which we are hiding is false. And that which we are hiding behind is also false. It's equally false. To be not knowing, being not knowing, living out of the freshness of being. And the wide open sky is present to a rainy day, to a tornado, to a stormy day, to a sunny day. It's that same presence. And that's not a neutral presence, and it's an active presence. You have to actively be present until it becomes effortless. So you take steps towards God. Until your step is God's step. Okay, well, very lovely to be with you all. Frank, nice to see you again. And Gisela, hello Gisela, Holger, and John, hello John, and Holly, Frederic, Zoe, Amna, Richard, Gloriana, and Malcolm.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed and Magdi.
Thank you, Magdi.
That was
Bye.
awesome.